Welcome, welcome. It's another great day, and we're here today to have a little bit of fun talking about 5 travel apps and websites that make planning your travel easier. Now, I know it's going to take a minute for everyone to find us, but I'm going to get started anyway because you might be watching this in the replay and you're like, what are you just yammering on about? Let's get to it. So let's get to it. When you are joining, please let me know in the comments where you are joining from. As you know, usually we have people joining us from all over the world. It's really great fun because you get to see where everybody's coming in from. So put in the comments where you are watching from. There's Isabel. Hello, hello, Isabel. And Isabel, I'm sorry. It's not that I don't have a good memory. It's just there's so many people I love connecting with, and then I get them all mushed together. Netherlands, right? Right? I hope so. Yeah. So let's talk about Jenny from Vancouver. Hello, hello. Is it cold there? Because I feel like it's never going to stop being cold where I am right now. Australia. Hello, Fiona. California. I love it. Hi, Eugenia. Deanna is coming in from Tennessee. I might be in Tennessee soon, and I have never been there. Can you believe it? The Netherlands. I got it right. Yay. I'm so happy when my memory actually comes through. So let's see. Oh, Tammy. Hey, Tammy, calling in like it's an old school radio show. Listen, I think some of you know, and if you do not, why do I have these weird random things behind me? I am still trapped in a Midwestern boomer basement. And what does that mean? That means that there is so much decor. Whenever they do a changeover, it's not like, oh, well, let's give it away. It just keeps piling up in the basement. So my husband, once again, found some items and he just keeps putting random things up here. So this time we have an old suitcase. I don't know what's inside. I'm afraid to look, so I'm not going to. And this is an automatic bread maker, a homemade bread in under 1 hour. This thing has not been used since it was bought. I promise you. There's probably 6 more bread makers somewhere in this basement. That is why they're here. Also, we found cassette tapes of yours truly when she was but a small child, and apparently I really liked making talk shows. So the like reliving that, like, oh right, someone's calling in from. So that's a long story to tell you guys when I say, hey, calling in from Jordan, checking in from Michigan. Oh, it's 8 Celsius, 47 degrees in Vancouver. Yeah, that's not so bad. The suitcase is not weird, Patricia. It's the bread maker. Hey, Meredith, SoCal. It's the tiny. If that's a tiny suitcase, should I open? No, I'm not going to open it because what if it's like, what if there's something like terrible that's implicating my entire family? I can't do it. So I'm just gonna not open it, or it could be like Geraldo Rivera when he opened that safe or whatever, and then it's anticlimactic. So we're gonna leave the suitcase and the mystery of what's inside of it alone. Make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Pia's here from Sweden. Okay, amazing, amazing. Hello, open it. Isabel, I'm not going to open it on a live Facebook show. Maybe I'll open it and take a picture and let you guys know. Let's get back to why we're all hanging out. Besides the fact that it's just kind of fun to hang out. I always love getting to interact with everybody and see how you're doing. But today we're going to talk about 5 travel apps and websites that you use to make your trip planning easier. And sometimes why I wanted to talk about this is that planning a trip can be, I don't want to over dramatize it, but sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. For some people, it might even be stressful. It's, whether it's your first trip or your 20th, there's a lot that goes into it. And then you add going somewhere completely unfamiliar, and there's a lot of question marks. If you're doing the right thing, if you're getting the right information, if the prices are accurate. So how do you kind of demystify some of that? What do I use to make it easier for me? I'm going to share 5 apps that I kind of my go-tos. I'm going to share with you 2 popular travel websites that I almost never use, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm also going to talk about my number 1 favorite insider way of planning a trip it's totally analog. Okay, but I promise you that I've had more amazing experiences than anything I learned with digital technology. So I also want to remind see, okay, thank you, Stana Kate. It's stressful for you. It is stressful. And now Patricia is ringing in with your great grandmother made that suitcase from by hand. She made a suitcase by hand. I come from a family of suitcase makers. When was I going to get this information? Today? um, okay. Before we get started, I also want to remind you, if you're enjoying this, hit the like or the love button, because Facebook has a funny way of hiding things. And as long as you hit the like button, I don't know if you're familiar with this aspect, it's not just to be like, hey, that's cool, but it also keeps us connected. Also ensures that my posts show up in your feed so that we're connected for life. So just make sure though that you hit like or love to connect us so that you're always getting all the fun information that I am sharing with you. And remember, if you want the notes for today's show, make sure and type notes in the comments. That's all you have to write, notes. And then I'll be able to go back through and find you and personally send you an email with some of my favorite travel apps. Also, I do have another fun giveaway because I can't resist. And this one is backed by popular demand because the person who won it last time, Fiona, wrote me and said that she really liked it, which made me super excited. And that is the travel laundry bag. And we're going to do the old screen sharing again today, which is always a delight because I'm always something fresh and new pops up on your screen that I didn't intend. But I'm just going to show it to you real quick. And that is this wonderful travel laundry bag. So it unfolds and allows you to pack it full with a little drawstring, but also look how small it is. So it's really easy for you to pop into your luggage, and it's even got a little carabiner. So there you go. That's the travel laundry bag. And that is what you will be winning today. How do you win? If you've been around, you already know. If you don't, whatever I say, a travel tip that resonates with you, that's like, oh, hey, that was a good travel tip, put it in the comments and make sure you put nugget before the travel tip. And that way, once we get done, I'll scroll through and randomly pick you to win. So the more nuggets that you find interesting and that you put in the comments, the more chances you have to win. So let's make sure I didn't get anybody else who've got notes. No, see, oh, thank you, Fiona. So she got the laundry bag. Look at that. I won one. It's awesome. Fantastic. All right, everybody else putting notes in the comments. Perfect, perfect. And all this time, Patricia, all this time I've been using a trash bag. If that works for you. So if you're just joining us again, who am I? Juliana Dever. I am an experiential travel expert. I've been traveling the world actually for about 25 years now, over 60 countries. I've lived in 4, and I spend about 4 or 5 months abroad. And I help people take off the beaten path cultural immersion trips. And that's why I'm here today to talk to you about creating your own trip. So there's a lot of unknowns when you make a travel, when you plan a trip, like how do I get the best flight? Where do I stay? How many cities or countries should I visit? And what's the best way to travel between them? And then there's just figuring out once you're there, what to do, where to eat. So these apps are my starting points. And I also, they take a lot of the question marks out of some of the bigger questions and they make it easy. Some might say fun. I would say fun. Again, if planning travel is fun for you, then that might be the case. But I do want to also say that I actually don't like to get bogged down in too much technology. Some of them, there's some apps that I've used before that a lot of people rave about, and honestly, they just feel like work or they feel superfluous. Like I don't need to take up the space on my phone for them when I can easily just kind of interact and find information. So I want to share that because I'm sure you have some travel apps you like as well, but I don't get as app crazy as some people do. That's just me. But I'm going to share what does work. So I also want to talk about this is after you have picked where you're going to go next. So if you need help in how to narrow down a place that you want to go to, that I did a whole other show about that. If you need the notes or the replay for that, that one is how to pick a destination that you love. So you can write love it in the comments. I think we're good with that one in this comment thread because I haven't used that yet. So if you need the notes or the replay on how to pick a place, that's love it. let's get on to what happens when you actually have that place picked. The first place, the first app platform that I use, and I know some of you have heard this before, but I want to share it with you again, is booking.com. And I use it for research more so than booking. I prefer, if possible, to book directly with a hotel because you get a better rate, you get more protection when or if you do need to cancel. You're likely to get more upgrades, hotel room upgrades once you arrive if you book directly with a hotel. However, that's not always the case. Some hotels, and even what's nice about it is you can find small apartments, you can even find local homes through booking.com. And it's nice because sometimes the rates are even cheaper than Airbnb. And that's also in the mix when you're searching, which I appreciate about them. And also there are also some places that you don't, and this is just from my experience of years of using this platform. You don't always get the best rate when you book directly, or it's for whatever reason, it's still a better deal. And you'll discern that once you get used to it to use booking.com. So what happens is you also increase your level, they call it. And so you get bigger and bigger discounts. That's kind of that's up to you to decide. So I would always say book direct first. But I want to show you how and why I use booking, like how I use it as a search engine to actually find the best hotel rooms, find the best location. So I'm going to do the screen share again. You know, let's see. Okay, so I put in, for instance, was it Deanna that you're from Tennessee? Look, I just happened to put in Nashville. How amazing. So I put in this random, and this is what I love about booking.com over most other platforms. Their filters are so detailed that it really helps you search for something that you're looking for. So, for instance, we've been traveling with our dogs. You can narrow it down by pet friendly. So now I've got a list of 98 properties that will allow me to bring my dogs. Another way that I use it, maybe I will narrow it down by how many stars. I will narrow it down by the city center. Of course, there's even fun things to do. Does it have a DJ that's fun for you, but you have a little bit of nightlife there, or does it have a spa coming down? I always make sure to select free cancellation because I never want to potentially book anything here where I can't back out of it if I need to. You can right here, so you have vacation homes, bed and breakfast. There's more property types I've already filtered, so it's narrowed some of those out. What's great is you can also ask for landmarks. So if you know you want to stay by one of these, and there are far more options. I've already narrowed it down. Let's see what else. All these different amenities, if these things are important to you, scroll down when you're looking through this. You can pick neighborhoods, which is wonderful. So if there's an area that you want to stay in, you can narrow it down further by this. The other thing, we have property accessibility, room accessibility. There are so many filters that it really helps you find what you're looking for. You can set the amount. I a lot of times I'll do the show on map so that I can kind of get a city, like a bird's eye view of the city. Apologize, it does take longer because I'm running several things at once. But see, I can tell, oh, I wanted to stay over by the airport because I'm leaving at 5 a.m. Or no, I wanted to stay over here. So you can get an idea of the areas. And so that is how I use booking.com. Now, whether or not I will book from there, it really depends on the circumstance, but I want to make sure that you understand how to use that to your advantage. Now, the second thing, let's make sure I'm not missing anything. Is this for US only? Shirley, what was that in regard to? Was that booking.com? If that was I'm not sure if that was your question or not, but if it's booking.com, I actually use for the entire world. I've used it in Beirut, Lebanon. I've used it in Japan. I've used it in Europe. So it's really global, and that's why its reach is so vast, and why it's really helpful to locate places that you want to stay. Second one, I don't know if you guys know about this one, and this is I use this very frequently, mostly when I'm traveling internationally. And it is a website that's called Rome to Rio, Rome, the number two, Rio.com. And this one, what I love about this is quite often I'm trying to kind of decide like how many countries do I want to go to? How can I get between them? And so let me show you. Let me go back to screen share and let me show you. So I put this in, for instance, Ljubljana, Slovenia to Vienna, Austria. I already did a little quick sample search. What's great is it tells me all of my options for how to get from point A to point B. So they'll give you a bus. It's 5 hours, 5 minutes. It tells you the price. It's going to start at, and you set, you'll set up here like what language, what currency that you are using. This again is a global website. You can use it for, as far as my experience so far, every country that I've ever needed, it's been there. So you stop. It not only gives you an idea, it gives you bus schedules. So this is these different, like this is a Flixbus, which is an international bus. It goes between countries. So you get information. This one's nonstop. Perfect. I don't have to drag my luggage and connect. This is a connection, but maybe it works for my flight doesn't come in until 9 o'clock, So it gives you expected to pay. And then it even gives you the website. So you can go to Flixbus and book directly with the bus company. We can do the same thing with trains. It'll give you information about if you're taking Eurail, if you're taking Railjet, if you're taking like a local Slovenian line versus OBB, which is Austrian. So you can check here and go, oh, okay, ooh, this one, amazing. Look, it's a nonstop. I mean, it's a direct, so it might have stops, but you don't have to get off. That's perfect. So once again, this gives you an idea. You're going to pay anywhere from $26 to $50. You can hop on the Slovenian Railway website to get more information. And it's got a lot of other great little tidbits, like if you're going to take an intercity train, a regional, if it's first class. This also gives you, if you want to take a bus and then a night train, if you want to take a ride share, if you want to drive your car, rent a car, maybe take a shuttle and then take a flight. It truly gives you every available option in terms of transportation. So for me, it really is the best overview for helping me kind of plan what I want to do. Obviously, this is, take a flight through Munich, shuttle. It's got a lot of information here. And for me, it's one of my absolute favorite travel apps for overall planning of just getting where to where. This is a great site. Maybe it's the first time that I'm sharing it. I don't know. It's weird though, right? It's like such a massive site, and sometimes things just don't pop up on your radar until someone else shares it. So yeah, Rome to Rio. Love it. I've used it before, but forgot about it. Thank you for reminding me. Yep, Jenny, absolutely. It's great, right? It's really super useful. So another one that I use, now this is more about if I'm kind of wondering, well, I know I want to go here, but I'm not sure what I want to do here. One of the things that I'll also use is a website called Spotted by Locals. I don't know if anyone here has used that, is familiar with it. Again, let me show you. So this one, Spotted by Locals, you can use it to kind of get an overview of a city. So let's start with that. So view all cities. You can see right here who is on this platform. So there are a few cities in North America. You also have Amsterdam to Beirut. You've got there's a little bit of Middle East, a lot of Europe. So let's take one of my favorite places, Tbilisi, for instance. So Tbilisi is the capital city of the country of Georgia, one of the places that I take people on tours. But say you're going to get there a few days early and you just want to you want to find a restaurant. Of course, I'm going to give you restaurant recommendations my own self, but this is fun. So you can use the website. There's also an app that you can download to your phone. Looks like it's $4. And they say that you can use it offline and there's other fun stuff if you get the app. But if you just want an overview, you've got different people who tell you they're all locals. They have information about Georgia. They're travel writers, freelance tour guide, architecture student, and a lot of these people are local to the area. We even have Sarah, which is my tour manager for the country of Georgia, and she contributes, which I just saw that yesterday and thought that was great fun. I was like, Sarah. And now you can also continue to scroll down and you can see all the articles. So a lot you can see there's a lot of different Georgians. Maybe they've reviewed a cooking class. They've got a left bank beer experience. So they kind of give you tips about what's going on in their city. And then there's additional categories. So you can look at all of these things I'm showing you here: art and culture, music, maybe theater, restaurants. You can put in, and you can also just do a search. Like if I want to say, hey, what's a restaurant? Maybe there's some new restaurants that have opened since the last time that I was there. What do we got? And the search, let's try the search one more time. We've got articles about it, which is great. And, I can attest to these. Shavilomi, wonderful. I think, Fiona, you went to Shavilomi, didn't you? I think you did. Retro, that is some of my favorite kachapuri. There are a lot of little places. So, I agree. These are some wonderful one. Vinotel, delicious. Fabrica, absolutely. So these are some really wonderful suggestions. So again, this is spotted by locals. All right. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything else. Make sure. Seamus, did we discuss the bread maker? Look, if you're not here for the beginning of the show, and my husband Seamus put the bread maker up, and he wants you guys to know why. But if you were here at the beginning, it's more treasures from a boomer basement. I'm sure it's been used exactly once. Okay, let's keep moving. This is number 4 on the websites and apps that I use when I'm getting an idea of what I want to plan for a brand new city, or even one that I've been to, and that is Kayak. Why Kayak over? I don't know. I find the search engine on Kayak is easier to look at than Expedia or Orbitz. That's, again, me personally, but I do this to get research, and then I will always book directly. So a lot of times now, for some people, I know there's also, like, maybe you're looking for the least expensive airfare or something along those lines. When flights come in and they're miscalculated and you want to grab it, that this is not that. I don't do that because I'm part of a loyalty program, and for me it makes more sense to rack up the miles and the upgrades, so when I'm traveling I can try to upgrade to business class. So I don't look for that per se, but I am traveling between a lot of cities that the airlines that my loyalty program, I'm with United, United's not going to fly to a certain city. So I need to know, for instance, let's see, let me show you. So cheap flight. Here, I'm going from Ljubljana to Tbilisi, and this is great because you get an overview of who is flying there, what their routes are, what cities are they taking you through, how many stops. You always get the opportunity, to get the least amount of stops or the shortest amount of flying time. So I like to do an overview. Now, Lufthansa, Turkish, those are all in my airline alliance. And I can kind of decide, oh, well, look, Turkish is only 6 hours. That's half the time. Well, maybe I'll do that anyway. Or, so you get an opportunity to see who's flying there. And I think at this point let me see, clear all. I might have already hit that. So it's also fun because you get the opportunity to see who else is going somewhere and what's out there. For me, I still go back and use my miles to get free flights on those little legs. So that's another reason that I stay with United, because then I can actually book a free first class ticket between Ljubljana and Tbilisi if I choose, and I don't have to pay for those small connection flights. So I kind of do it as research. I also, before I unshare, I will show you that I do it for rental cars. So, and I want to talk about rental cars in general right now, but first, if it's something that you need, I'll use Kayak first to see what companies are in the countries that I go to. Now, if you, or even in the city, if you're in the US or Canada and you're looking for the companies that are in your location to go A to B, you get an idea of who's who's in what city, who might be bigger in that city, who might be offering better prices in that city. So I know that, okay, Hertz is a player, and this rentalcars.com is a player, and it looks like maybe those are the only two I'm going to find in that city. So that's a starting point. Now I usually don't stop there. If I need a rental car, I will Google, and I am like a Google expert level unlocked person. So I definitely use Google if that seems like a limited. If I am I looking at kayak and there's only two options, because a lot of times there will also be local companies that are not part of that search engine. And so I'll start looking at some either European companies that I already know, or I'll be surprised and find, like I did in Lake Bled years ago, some random guy who had cars and he just dropped one off at our little guest house. So that's how you can use Kayak to search for what you're looking for. Again, I always recommend you book directly with the airline or the rental car company to save yourself grief, save yourself lack of cancellation refunds. But those are really great places to start to see who the players are and what the price ranges are. Now, the fifth one that I use, and I don't know, this is, if you've heard of it, I don't know if you've heard of it, but this one I wound up using last summer because if you saw any of those prices, we are still experiencing from the pandemic, and who knows how long this is going to go on now, but some serious rental car shortages. And what's that has created is massive price increases because there just aren't that many cars. And we all know supply and demand. And at the time, my friend Rachel and I were traveling. We were going to rent a car in Croatia and drive ourselves just leisurely for a couple days and then over to Slovenia. And we realized that it was so expensive. At the time, there was also still higher instances of coronavirus. And so we weren't necessarily comfortable with being in a lot of public trains. But also, when you have luggage, and like for me, when I'm traveling for months at a time, I have a lot of luggage. Not a lot, but I know some of you have gone on my trips. You've got your souvenir bag and you've got your backpack, and you don't dragging them off and on trains is also something you might not want to deal with. So one of the other options that we wound up using, and it's not the least expensive, but it was super convenient for us, and that is a website that's called mydaytrip.com. Again, I will share with you. This one it wound up actually being super fun, and I did check. It is available for the United States. I think it started. One of the drivers told me where it started, and I can't remember what country it was, like Estonia or something. I can't remember. And in that time, it's growing and it's starting to be available in more and more cities and countries around the world. If you're in Europe, it's also easier because there's a lot more people. They're so used to driving. They have small countries, so they're used to driving from one end of their country to the other, from their country to two countries over. So there's a lot more drivers. It's more prevalent. However, let's just take a look at what it does. So I put in one way from Split, Croatia to Plitvice Lakes in Croatia. That's a gorgeous national park with waterfalls. And if you're anywhere near, you should absolutely see it if you can. So you just hit search. And what it does is it says, okay, you've already set some parameters as well, maybe two passengers and a little bit of luggage. So it says, okay, you've got this sedan. So a driver will pick you up at the time you want to be picked up. They will help you with your luggage, which is amazing. And then what's also really wonderful is it has these options like view these sites along the way. And some of them you didn't know about, or it's a great suggestion. And so you get more information. So, you're like, oh, like Rachel and I actually did stop at Cleese Fortress. This was the city of Marine in the Game of Thrones. And so you can just add for an additional 30 minutes. Our driver that we got in Croatia was amazing. He had been a coach driver for tour companies for 30 years and he was retired. And so he loved his country. He had so much information. He would stop and go, oh, do you want to eat at this little restaurant? He walked around Cleese Fortress with us and kind of explained some stuff. Here's another one. We didn't wind up stopping here, even though we wanted to. It's even got, because once you finish, you take a survey. And so if it gets highly rated, you'll see this little thing pop up. And also, if you're like, well, I want to go to Trogir, but I know I want to stop for lunch. Well, then you just add Now it's going to be a 90-minute stop, and the price will increase because the driver obviously his time. But you can start to add all of these things. Shibanek is, you could stop there. You could go to Kirkin National Park. There's all these wonderful options that they give you along the way. So we used it. I want to say we used it 3 or 4 times in the end. It was wonderful every time. The drivers were great. They or at the very least interesting. At one we had a driver pick us up in Graz, Austria, and he had started in Budapest. He started in Budapest, drove to Austria to get us. So they once you request it, they find drivers who come. And it's already paid for. You pay for it through the app. It's a done deal. They pick you up. We never had a hitch. So I really recommend it because it's a wonderful way to get yourself from A to B. If the car rentals are crazy expensive or you don't want to deal with driving and you want a local who is going to give you more background or information. Um, let's see, make sure we'll try this site for Warsaw and Krakow. Yeah, Patricia, for sure. It's definitely a good option. Make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay, it's already 2:30, 2:30 Central Time. I always try to keep it to a half hour, but I wanted to really dig into those so you could see how to use them. So I'm going to try to go through the rest of it quickly. And if you have to hop off, make sure that you come back for the replay. Don't forget, if you want the notes with the links to these, just make sure you put notes in the comments and I will send that to you as soon as it is available. And don't forget to hit like so that you keep getting notifications about the shows that are coming up. If you're sticking with me, let's talk really quick about. I do want to say really quick that two other websites that I like to use just to kind of get a feel for what might be in the area. One is Atlas Obscura. Again, it's global and it comes up if you like really peculiar things, like, it'll tell you about some. I'm trying to think of something offhand. I probably should have looked it up to share with you some of the things that I found in Atlas Obscura that I was like, well, I got to go see that, like the biggest tomato ketchup bottle. I don't know if they do American oddities like that, but it will be really fascinating things. I think for Poland, one of them was like a bunker that had fallen into the waterfront, but it also had graffiti, and there's like a sunk submarine, and then there's an abandoned uh, house that's gone grown over. We found on our way out here. There was in Texas. It was a 1950s gas station. It was super cool. It was such a blast from the past. Route 66, and it's not on a main road anymore, so you have to find it. So Atlas Obscura is really fun for finding those oddities that most people wouldn't think about or find. And if that's something that appeals to you, then that might be a fun website for you. Another one that I use sometimes if I'm in a really big city is Time Out, but also because I tend to vibe with the recommendations they usually give. And that's an important thing. Where are you getting that information from? Are you getting it from a source that you have the same standards, you have the same taste, like you like the same things? And that's also very important. So if you might want to check out Time Out and see if you like any of their recommendations. And then that's another place to check really quick for a restaurant recommendation in a city. So let's make sure. Yep, Heather loves Atlas Obscura. Yep. So let's see. Two platforms that are very popular that I almost never, ever, ever use. And some of you know how I feel about one of them, but I'm going to share it again today. And that is TripAdvisor. Ah, here's why. I'm just going to talk about here's why. I'm going to cut the editorializing as much as possible, even though this is an opinion. I find it to be terribly inauthentic. What I was just speaking about in terms of knowing your sources, you have no idea, and this is true and this is why I don't always use the internet. You have no idea who wrote that recommendation or that disparaging remark and why. But what tends to happen more than anything is that you look at, and I wrote an article about this as well, that on my website, if you just go to the search bar and put in Venice, but I talked to a gondolier and he kind of confirmed the things that I had been feeling about it years ago, that, the top 10, the top 20 places to eat in any given city, let's say Venice, they're already at the top. So then people go, "Oh, what's the best place?" And they hit number one, and then they go there. And at the time, it was like a takeaway pasta place that was if you know Italians, you do not mess with their pasta. He was so offended by it. I swear he probably spit right into the canal. But it wasn't authentic. It was just what somebody who'd maybe only been there once. They were like, "Oh yeah, I had a good experience. I'll just give it a 5." So those are things that tend to happen. And so the people at the top stay at the top. The wonderful, authentic mom and pop shops that people don't know about don't get bumped up to the top because people don't always go to, well, let me try 400 on the list. Why? Why is it 400? It must be terrible. It's just, it's not, I have not found it to be the best way to search for something authentic in a city. So I don't recommend it. Another one that I don't personally like is Airbnb experiences. I don't know if anyone's used it. I did. I gave it a fair shake, and my experience was that it was not good. It was, and yeah, by all rights, it seems like it should be great, right? It was a local who had created a taco experience in Austin, Texas, and he was charging a lot for this experience. And he picks you up and he drives you to all these different taco stands to give you an authentic taste of tacos in Texas. And first of all, these do not get vetted. And his car was so putrid. And I have never seen a dirtier car in my entire life. It was the most disgusting. I can't, I like it. I would eat a taco and want to immediately throw up. It was so bad. And he took us to 3 taco places and they were average. There was nothing special. It was just like, "Oh, I like this taco place." And then he'd just stand there, he'd give him a couple bucks. These tacos were like a dollar, $2. The tour was 50 bucks. It was like, and after it was done, here's the kicker. I did not write him a poor review because I was like, I don't want to mess with this guy's side hustle. Like, and no one else did either. Right. So I'm not getting an accurate picture of how horrible that experience was. It's just anyone can hop on and maybe it's changed, but I have not had success with it and I don't recommend it. So there you go. Has anyone, Julia, I do take my rating very seriously. You're right, Seamus. I love that my husband is chiming in. You were on that taco trek, that trail of taco tears. It was not good. You know it. Okay, I want to also just share quickly with you a couple of apps that I've either used a couple times or I am still checking out, but that you might like, you might know. Again, because I don't tend to get super app heavy when I travel, but there's an app that you can download called The Fork, and that one is pretty cool because it allows you to make reservations in foreign countries, which sometimes is an obstacle to making a reservation because even if you know a little bit of the language, you feel insecure about making a phone call. And so, maybe you defer to the hotel or whatnot. But if you're like, oh, I want to go to this place, and they also have discounts available. So we used that once in Portugal, and we got a really nice discount on our bill, and we made a reservation. And so we made it at the right place that we could read in the language that we speak, and then we were able to arrive and have a really nice experience without any of those lost in translation moments. Another one is Zomato. It's like tomato with a Z. And that one is really great for just an overview. If you're looking for restaurants near you, you can see how much they cost, what kind of cuisine. And it's really good because it has the menu. So you can read the whole menu, and it does have reviews that you can read. Again, I always like take them with a sort of a grain of salt, but at least on Zomato, that's not like Yelp influencers. You know what I mean? So it's people that are like, oh, this was a really nice meal. So getting around, Google Maps is still, if you're outside of the United States, Google Maps, it tends to be a little bit more detailed still. And there's an app that I'm looking at called City Mapper. I don't know if you've used it. Let me know how you feel about it. It looks like it gives you some really interesting information, like if you're walking at night, what's the most well lit road, like, which sounds very interesting to me. So potentially, the one that if you're outside of the U.S., once again, there's an app called Bolt, Bolt, and this was a European company, I believe, but it's a taxi app. So you can actually call a taxi in places. Not all cities have Uber, and but a lot of places have the Bolt taxi app. It's very useful because once again, you can pay for it there. You don't have to change hands. You don't have to worry about the price changing. And if there is a language barrier, you put the exact address in, so you don't have to worry about that getting lost in the translation. And then there's when you're going to certain places, like Paris Metro app, that is excellent. I am Amsterdam. They have the board of tourism actually makes it, and it's really good. There's some great boards of tourism out there, like in Slovenia and Poland. They're really good, so don't discount those. Um, the other thing that I want to talk about is my number one way that I find things to do, and it's the super analog way of figuring out what to do in a city or a country, and it's talk to locals. And I think you know this about me, but personally, the best experiences I've ever had is sitting down with a real human being who lives in a real place and asking them, where should I go? What should I do? You can find people ahead of time before you leave if you're on any online forums. And again, if you I did an entire show about that, like how to get off the beaten path. So if you need the replay of that or the notes to how to plan a trip by talking with locals, that you can put locals in the notes and I'll make sure and get that to you. But just real quick, how do you find locals to talk to? Because I talk to everybody, as you can tell. Um, but your driver, when you get picked up at the airport, if you get into a taxi or an Uber or a bus drivers don't usually like you to talk to them, but if you're kind of one-on-one or somebody's picking you up, talk to them. Restaurants, I talk to the servers, and if they have time, some of them, like, I've made friends for life with people that I've met in restaurants in random countries. And they're always like, yeah, you know what? This is my favorite park. Here's where I take my friends when they come to town. Um, Pubs, you can just, if there's like a friendly neighborhood pub in the area you're staying in, go hang out for a little while. Talk to the bartender, strike up a conversation with the people that are next to you. You will get a gold mine of ideas of things to see and do that are more authentic. And hotels, concierges are a good source, but a lot of times they will steer you in places that they have a deal with the restaurant or the museum. And sometimes a good concierge will still give you any information, but you just need to be a little bit more specific. So if you feel like you're getting pushed to like a place that they always push people, say, no, 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 what I'm looking for is like, I did this in Vienna once where I'm like, I want this specific dish. I need Käsespätzle. And I don't want to, and I want to eat it in a very casual place, so if you give them parameters, you can get some information. But, I love to talk to the bellman and the bell desk and, some of the other folks at the hotel that aren't necessarily getting any kind of commission for sharing, and shopkeepers. If you go into a little store and they have like the cutest little things, to strike up a conversation and go, hey, where would you go if you want to bring some mementos back home? Or if you go to, say, a winery or a restaurant, like when I go to a winery, one of the things that I do before I leave is, okay, you obviously are in this industry. Where else would you go? What other winemakers do you love? Or what other restaurants should I try? They all are friends. They know each other. They're gonna be like, oh, this chef is amazing. So make sure you're asking when you meet locals questions like that, because you'll get so much great information. I know that's not apps. I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but I, above all, believe in the power of connecting with human beings. So I recommend that. Do you have, I'm going to check back in the comments because I know I just was trying to share a lot with you before it gets too late. If you have any favorite travel apps that you just swear by, put them in the comments. Hey, Todd, I love this. This video is the highlight of my day. You're the highlight of my day, Todd. Just seeing you here, that's amazing. And Todd is an old not old, I don't mean it that way, but like veteran airline person. We got travel in our blood. Let's see. Hey, Bill. We don't ask where's the best place to eat. We ask them, where do you eat? Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Hi, Frankie, Leanne, all of these. Come to Paris and I will help you. Sandrine, Can't wait to come back to Paris. I get so busy going to all these other places. Locals, how did you miss it? Yeah, that's right. If I will make sure and get you the notes for the locals. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Got everything. Um, make sure that I got everybody. And Bill, yeah, I don't know if you missed the beginning. I went into a deep dive of how to use booking.com to find perfect spots. So, yes, I agree with you. Absolutely. So, let's see if there's anything else. I've got everybody that's been putting nugget in the comments. If you saw that, that is because I'm about to give away a really cool travel laundry bag, a foldable, packable laundry bag. And everybody who shared their favorite travel tips and put their travel tips that I shared in the comments with the word nugget, I am going to randomly select someone. But let's just wrap it up. So, what did we talk about today? We talked about number one, my five favorite apps and websites that I use to plan. And if you miss those, you're going to need to watch the replay. So put notes in the comments and I'll make sure and send you the replay along with the notes from today's show. So my five favorite apps and websites that I use when booking, two websites, the popular travel websites that I never use, almost never, and why. We talked about just, I give you another handful of apps that are useful that you might want to check out. And finally, my number one tip for how to plan travel, and that's the super analog way of connecting with locals. So, perfect, perfect, perfect. Don't forget, if you don't have the time to plan, or maybe you don't, planning trips in foreign countries is not your bag. I work with women in Europe. We create local trips, so just come with me. We still are going this year to Slovenia, to Poland, to Georgia. So if you want to just travel with me, come along. So now let's pick a winner. Travel is life. It is. Travel is life because you're connecting with people. All right, I'm going to pick a winner for the travel laundry bag. And I'm just going to scroll through and stop. And whatever nugget I stop on, oops, sorry, it messed up. Well, that was not a nugget. It was just a wonderful comment by Jordan, who's always great. And Shirley! Yay! Shirley, you won a travel laundry bag. Woohoo! Very exciting. So, I also want to share with you that I am off the next 2 Thursdays because I will be doing a little bit of traveling myself. If I can pop in from the road and say, hey, I will. But otherwise, just come back. I think it'll probably be, what is it, March 24th? And I will announce the show topic soon. I might have some really cool special guests coming up. So I will share that with you as well. And let me also, let's see, I think that's it, right? Okay. Did it end so soon? So, anyway, it was wonderful to see you all again. Please take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in a couple weeks. All right. Bye bye.